Hi, good evening, students. I hope you're all doing well. Hi, Almas. Good evening, very good evening. I hope my voice, video, and the screen share, everything is fine. Let me hear from the students. Great. Miman, yes, good evening, Miman. Okay, so we are in chapter number 2, financial and accounting systems. On our day 1 and day 2, we covered some part of the topics. So today we will be completing our chapter number 2. And also at the end, we will see past examination questions. And also there are certain MCQs I have given for day 1 and day 2. So if you have any doubts or if you want to go through in the class, those MCQs we can go through at the end. So first, let me try to complete the syllabus what we have planned to cover for today. So without much delay, let me get started. Yeah. So we are on this financial and accounting systems. On our day 1, we talked about basically it went in a proper way. On day 1, we had discussed about very fundamentals before we get into the technology part. So topics like, if you see here, what is a system, what is a process, master data, non-master data, voucher, what do you mean by a voucher numbering, and certain concepts from the technical side, installed versus cloud application, front and back end. So with the help of these discussions, you had got some foundation before you get into the actual ERP. On our day 2, we discussed about basically this is the main topic. We discussed business process modules and their integration with financial and accounting system. So where we discussed about various modules, like if you see here, financial and accounting module, like where you record all the financial transactions, define the org structure, accounts payable, accounts receivable modules, and also the controlling module to take care of the cost controlling part of the organization, sales and distribution module to take care of the sales process in the organization. So similarly, you have approximately some 11 modules we discussed in day 2. So we are left with the last topic from day 2, integration with other modules. So we start from there, and today our main focus is on the reporting part. If you see here, so we will try to understand, so far we understand what actually ERP is, why ERPs are needed, how it helps, what all the benefits ERPs are giving in, right? Now, once basically ERPs help to record the transactions, right? As and when as and when the transaction is happening in the outside world, you are just recording those transactions in ERPs, right? On top of it, what is the ultimate objective of having these ERPs? You should be able to generate the reports. Based on that, you can evaluate the performance of the organization. So we will talk about various kinds of reporting requirements, what an organization has, and how that can be achieved. For certain reports, that can be achieved through ERPs itself, but for certain category of reports, you go beyond ERPs. So we talk about the data analytics, business intelligence, and some even on top of you will also talk about the XBRL, extensive business reporting language. So more or less today we will be mostly focusing on reporting part of the organization. So day 1, some fundamentals before you get into the ERP. On day 2, we understand what actually ERP is, what are all the various modules an ERP product contains, and what is the purpose of objective of each module. On day 3, reporting. So it's very properly classified, the entire syllabus. So by the end of day 3, you will understand why organizations uses ERPs. Okay. Yeah, I see a lot of wishes from the students. Good evening, all the students. Aita, download notes of all days are not found in Board of Studies app. Please verify. This I got a confirmation that the Board of Studies team, they already uploaded. So you can write a mail to esinter@ici.in if you find any of the documents are not available. Okay, there is a question from Saipa. Is Oracle and ERP? Absolutely yes. So that is the whole reason I'm showing that as part of the live class, because As I told you in your chapter, means in your syllabus, they have taken an examples or a couple of terminologies from Tally application as well as SAP application. So, but I don't have access to both of those softwares. I have access to Oracle applications, but nevertheless, as I told you, right? Email, under email, whether you use Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail, all does the same job, receiving an email, sending an email. Similarly, under ERP, you might have multiple products, but each product does the same job that helps in the same way to the organization. Okay, good. So let's get into the leftover topic, integration with other modules. Yeah. See, before I get into it, the topical part, it's a very simple topic to understand. Basically, what they are talking about, integration. Integration means, in simple terms, I can say connectivity. Okay, how each module talks to the other module. Okay, let me give you a brief example in real time how all these modules will talk with each other. In day 2, we have spent good amount of time by taking an example from P2P and O2C cycles, how each department means how a person from each department carries out a transaction in their respective module. But again, they have given some extra notes on the integration part specifically. So let me try to help you out this. Okay. Yeah. See, this example or this explanation applies to all ERP applications. That is how it works. Okay. Let's say the first and foremost thing was, assume that you have general ledger module here. Okay. This gets the data from all your subledgers like accounts payable. The data comes here finally, accounts receivable, your fixed asset module, your material management, your sales and distribution. What else you have? Your plant and maintenance. From all the modules, the accounting entries. See, you have seen how to create a transaction, right? But once somebody has created a transaction, it will create an accounting entry, right? So that's where the actual financial impact is recognized. That accounting entry finally comes to the GL module. So there is a module called general ledger module. From this module, business will generate the reports. So what kind of reports? Let's talk now with the respect of financial statements. So it could be balance sheet, this P&L account, all these reports, trial balance, all these reports are generated from trial balance. You can simply understand GL is a basket. Everybody throws the ball in the GL. Means all the transactions are recorded in the respective subledger. Example, in accounts payable module, we have created supplier invoice. Okay, but the entry, the accounting entry for this transaction, debit your expense, credit to supplier liability. Okay, this entry will be created when you the moment you book a invoice. This entry will be created automatically by the system in the backend. That entry finally comes and sits in the GL. So it automatically flows to GL module. Similarly, if you create a customer invoice, okay, so credit receivables, debit receivables, credit revenue. So this entry again will get created, automatically get posted to GL. Even in fixed assets, if you run a depreciation expense, debit to depreciation reserve, credit. So like this, in each and every module, whenever you perform a transaction, if that transaction requires an accounting entry, that will be automatically created by the system and that finally posted to the GL. Like this, every module on day in and day out, so many users keep performing the transactions in their respective module. Automatically system pushes the data to GL module. So once the data is here, the GL accountant can create the trial balance. He can run the trial balance, and he can also run the respective other statements, P&L account, balance sheet. So this is how it works. I hope you're clear. Any doubts so far on this? Students, any doubts here till here? Because you need to understand the mechanism or the blueprint of ERPs, how it works. So this explanation applicable for Oracle or SAP, or you take any ERP, this is how it works. And basically all these modules, okay, plant and maintenance, accounts payable, accounts receivable, these are called subledgers. Okay, so they use the technical term subledgers for all these modules, whereas there is only one module called GL, general ledger. So this contains all the accounting entries. Somebody can directly create entries here, or the entries can come from the subledgers as well. So if you see P2P flow, we talked about somebody from the purchasing department create a purchase order. From where he creates from the purchasing module. Okay, but when somebody create a purchase order, there is no accounting entry because it's just a transaction, right? Nowhere there is no accounting entry there. But if the moment you receive the material, debit your inventory, credit your accrual account. So from there onwards, the entries will come and sit in the GL module. So just visualize how it happens. Okay, so you created a purchase order, no accounting entry comes to GL. You created a GRN, means the goods receipt note. The moment you receive the material from the supplier, you will be creating a GRN. So then the accounting entry will happen and flows to GL. So at latter part, you will be booking an invoice, right? So when you book an invoice, debit your accrual account, credit the liability account. There is an accounting entry. When you make a payment to the invoice, debit your liability, credit the bank. So you might perform a lot of activities in the system, but which activities actually requires an accounting entries, system will understand automatically with all the defined rules. So whenever a transaction requires accounting, it creates and posts it to the GL. When I say post, that means the entry comes from this module to this module and finally update the balances. You remember on the day directly in the GL module, I created one accounting entry. I purchased short-term investments. So short-term investments balance have gone up and the cash balance has come down, right? Similarly, if you perform any activity in the respective subledgers, the entries automatically come and sit in GL module. At the end of the day, you might perform the transactions in different modules. All the accounting entries automatically come and sit here so that I can generate the financial statements. Okay. Who can access GL? It's basically given to the GL accounts department. Maybe in the finance department, somebody might be responsible for the GL module. So it's all depend on the organization, how you divided your organization. Okay. So if you see in the P2P flow, you have multiple interactions, right? Initially, somebody has created a purchase order. So he used a purchasing module or material management module. If you talk from your bookish language, it's a material management module. So now let us see how material management module is integrated to various other modules. Yeah. So integration points means how they are integrated. I'll come back to this. So let's take this one, because under material management, they talked about how it is integrated to finance and controlling module. So in SAP language, it's called FICO. So how it is integrated? Because under material management, if you are valuing your materials, let's say you might have read in your costing part, material valuation, you have standard costing, you have FIFO, you have LIFO, all these methodologies, right? To value the inventory. Okay, it could be finished good, it could be raw material, it could be work in progress. So if somebody is doing that material valuation, the data, the financial data comes and sits in financial and controlling module. So that is how these two modules integrate, connects. Integration means connection point. So, and also costing part. if you are evaluating the landed cost of an item, ultimately the balance should flow and sit in the GL module. Inventory posting, all your inventory postings. This is my stock on hand. This is my transfers from one department to another. See, whenever you perform these transactions, if it involves the financial impact on the back end, if numbers are getting impacted, ultimately the entry should go and sit in FICO module. So even stock transfer. So they have just given some examples how these two modules are integrated. Very thumb rule, you perform any financial transaction in any module, okay? If that impacts the numbers on your balance sheet, the entry should definitely come and sit in financial, this FICO module, especially the GL module to it, okay? Under FICO, you have GL, AP, AR. So like this, you have various modules, specifically go and sit in GL module. GL is front end, Saipa. It's a front end. It's a front end module only. Now, so I hope you understand how the material management module is integrated to finance and controlling module. Now let's see on the production planning. See, yesterday we discussed about car automobile industry, means in our day 2 class, where you got an order and you need to check with your production department whether you have the capacity to produce those 300 cars in the next 1 month, right? So from material management point of view, when I say material management, just think from the inventory. Use the word inventory so that you can easily correlate. So from the inventory perspective, how an inventory department is connected with the production department. Let's say if a production department wants a material, to whom they have to approach? Inventory department is nothing but the material management who manages the material. Okay, that's just a terminology, but underlying concept is material management means the department which manages the material. So they are the people who use that module. So if production department requires some materials, so they will come and ask the inventory department. Similarly, once they ask the stock issue or receipt against production orders, means they might have, the production department might come and ask the inventory department, hey, I need so and so raw material because I need to produce these many cars. So the material department team, so they will check the on-hand quantity. If it is available, they will issue the material against a production order, because there will be a transaction that will be created in the production planning system. So saying that for so and so customer, I'm producing 300 cars. So against that production order, they will issue the raw material. Once the cars are ready, again, the production department hands it over the finished goods to the material department. See, production department responsibility is only to manufacture the product, or else they'll not come into picture at all. But whereas material management department, right from receipt of raw materials, they are the custodians of the inventory always till it reaches, till they hand it over to the delivery team. Okay, even delivery also is the responsibility of the material management. So they will be interacting for material requirements, stock issue or receipts, check for stock availability. I just told you as an example. And also as part of the planning part, if the production department wants to plan whether they can produce, so the first and foremost input they need is whether they have sufficient raw material or not. So that module will integrate or will have a call with material management module to check the items quantity and availability, and also the receipt of FG. I already told you. So always, as I told you, just visualize a factory, how these transactions happens. The same thing has to be recorded in the system, nothing more than that. So this is how the material management module is integrated with production planning. Any doubts, students, so far? Are you good? You are able to follow these examples? Okay, so let us move on to the next module. See, all we're trying to understand here, how each module communicates with the other module for what purpose. So it's not something like any technical knowledge. If you can visualize a factory or a business, how it means if you don't have a system, ultimately you need to do the same thing. It's just that instead of doing that job outside of the world, you are doing that communication via system. That's it. So How the material management module is integrated with the sales and distribution. As I told you, if the sales and distribute means for any kind of deliveries, okay, if the sales team has to confirm your order is ready for the customer for delivery, they have to check with the material management, hey, have you received the finished goods? Are the goods are in a situation to deliver? So all those communication happens with the material management module. Availability check, stock transfers, if they want to move from one godown to another. So these kind of communication happens between these two departments or two modules. Good. Yeah, good. Then quality management module. Again, what is the objective of quality management module? Basically, their job starts the moment you are receiving the raw material. Example, you are getting the raw material from your supplier. There should be somebody in your organization to do the quality check, whether the raw material is as per our expectation or not. So if there is no one to check, what happens? Supplier may send some substandard material, and with that material, if you produce your product, the final product may not be up to the standard, right? So there should be very this quality management department plays a key role in manufacturing organizations, especially to ensure that the raw material they are receiving is up to the standards. They will have certain benchmarks. So all those processes are managed in quality management module. So if you visualize the flow under material management module, I create a purchase order, right? When I am receiving it, at that stage, the quality management team should come into picture, verify the material which is sent by the supplier, do the quality check and give a confirmation. Let's say this happens in real time. Supplier sends some 100 units of material. The quality department will come and inspect. If they identify that there are some 20 units of material is not up to the mark, maybe some damages happened or not the ones which is as per the quality requested by the company, could be any reason. So they can reject the 20 units and accept the 80 units. In such case, what happens? The remaining 20 units will be returned to the supplier by the material management team. Quality management team will not take care of that headache. What they do, they simply come, inspect the material. If everything is fine, they'll give a go ahead, and the material management team takes that raw material to their custody. If not, they will return the entire shipment to the supplier. So that is what they're saying. So quality inspection at goods receipt. At the same time, even if you are manufacturing it, the raw material moves from one stage to another stage, right? Example, in an automobile sector, you would have got some steel or iron sheets from where finally you will see a car. So when it is going into multiple stages of production, each stage wise also the quality management team can check whether this raw material is means it is getting converted as per the standards or not. Let's say on stage 1, if that converted product is not up to the mark, they will discard it, because ultimately it is better to discard it at this stage instead of finally converting into a car and then decide, hey, this car is not good, so completely discard it. It's very costly, right? So they not only check at the raw material stage, even in process, and also finally when the finished product is ready, there also they will check. So I will ask a simple question. Whenever you purchase a product, be it Amazon or any e-commerce, most of the product will have a symbol on it. So have you ever checked QC, quality check, like this, something like this? So they use their own terminology, but QC check happens something like this. On the product you purchased, they will have some emblem. That means before that product released to the end customer, somebody in the organization have verified that yes, the product is good. So then vendor evaluation based on quality parameters means, so they, let's say the company says, if you are sending this steel, it should have this much of thickness, and it should have the powder coating, and the especially on the car, okay, very, as I told you, it's a very precision, right? Very accurately they have to design it, or else the car fitting will not happen. So they will have certain parameters. Based on the parameters, they will check. And also to further explain what is meant by vendor evaluation, there could be certain standards they need to follow when they are manufacturing it. Example, the supplier has to follow certain manufacturing standards to produce the product. So they will check all these parameters, whether that vendor is properly following all the standards or not. So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with it. So let's say from the process compliance point of view, they say ISO standard. Each manufacturing organization will have their own set of standards to be followed. So they will check the vendor, whether the vendor has this ISO standard. There is also one more thing, Six Sigma standard, Lean Sigma, Six Sigma. So there are certain quality standards or a framework. See how in accounting you have Ind AS and IFRS. Even from a manufacturing organizations, they will have certain standards to be followed when they are producing any product. It's not by product specific, it's a process. So whether they are adhering to the quality standards, safety standards, all these things are given with the help of these certificates. So this department will check whether the vendor from whom we are producing the products, they have these kind of certificates. If they have these certifications, it gives an assurance that, yeah, that guy is following all the standards. Yeah. Then Amritpal, yes, is quality check done through sampling method? Of course, it depends on the quantity. If the quantity is very less, maybe they will check every item, but it depends on their policy. If it is a huge in number, definitely they can't go and check each and everything. Yeah, correct. That Flipkart, Azure, Puja, as you rightly said, FSSAI mark on the food materials. These are the various standards. So they will check on these parameters. They will evaluate the vendor, and also they will also check quality inspection. See, not every item requires a quality check. It requires cost benefit analysis. Let's say in one of the example we discussed, the accounts department guy requires a notebook. Okay, whether do you want to involve your quality team to check whether the notebook is to be inspected or not? No, right? These are very small amounts when compared to a bigger the operations of the company. So they will be taking enough care in deciding for which items requires a quality inspection or not. So to do these things, so of course you understand with these examples, right, how these two departments communicate with each other. Then the last one, plant maintenance. So what is meant by plant maintenance? Example, in the factory, you will have various plants that needs to be managed. Somebody needs to take care of their maintenance, preventive maintenance, periodical maintenance, all those schedules somebody has to manage, right? So how they interact with the material management? See, if a plant got broke down, they require some screws, example, some screws, some lubricants, or some spare parts, something if they want. To whom they have to go and ask? Nothing but material management team. Material management team not only keeps the raw material of the product, they also keep all these accessories, screws, spare parts, all the stuff are the custodians of material management. So if they want any that kind of things, so they will request a maintenance order. Okay, this example is maintenance order. Let's assume plant maintenance team identified certain machines to be serviced. Okay, so who will service it? Some outside service provider. Okay, who contacts that outside service provider? They have to reach to the material management team in the form of purchase requisition. Okay, hey, in my plant, there is one plant and machinery which requires service by end of this week, end of this month. Can you create a purchase requisition or a purchase order to the supplier? So he just requested. The material management team sends a purchase order to the supplier who provides that maintenance service. So that service will be consumed by the production maintenance team, but it is routed through via material management team. That is how they're talking about. The second example, what they're talking about, as I said, let's say there is one machine there, some screws gone lost. Okay, they need new screws to be fit in. So who maintains that inventory? The material management team. So they ask that material to these guys. These guys will deliver back to the plant maintenance team. So this is how the modules are integrated. So I believe you could able to follow the explanation how in real time these departments will talk each other in the same pattern. They will do these transactions in the system itself. See, they won't call and communicate. Okay, they don't even send email. All these things happens in the application itself. somebody will create a purchase request, purchase order, all the stuff happens in the ERP. So there is one more example here, human resource to finance and accounting. We already understand human resource module maintains the employee details, salary structures, and all those stuff, right? On a month end, when the payroll means salary need to be processed, these are the team who are the responsible owners to process the salaries. The moment they process the salaries, there should be an accounting entry, debit the salary expense, credit to bank. So that comes and sits in financial and controlling module. As I said, any accounting entry will come and finally sit in FICO module so that the finance team can generate the required reports. Okay, so let's take this quick assessment to understand how you could able to follow the explanation so far. Identify the false statement from the following statements on various modules of ERP. Controlling module evaluates the profit or loss of individual market segments. Sales and distribution module includes product inquiries, placing order, scheduling activities. Plant maintenance module involves the process of planning production activities. Human resource module deals with financial entries like advances or loans to employees. So out of these 4 items, which statement do you think is wrong? Shreya, as far as I know, that food FSSAI is a standard, okay, which is given by Food Safety. I don't know the full abbreviation of it. It's Food Safety Authority of India, something like this. It comes. So they give that recognition if you are producing any eatable product, whether it follows the standards or not. Okay, I see a mixed responses to the assessment question. So that means we have not thoroughly gone through day two topics. So basically these are from day 2. Let's see the answer now. Why it is C means plant maintenance module I just discussed. So their sole responsibility is to ensure the plants are working fine and they have all the plant related schedule, maintenance schedules managing. That's it. They don't involve in the production activities. Who is taking care of production activities? It's a manufacturing department, not a plant maintenance team. Okay. Good. So we are done with day two topics. Any doubts so far before I get into the day 3 topics? Any doubts, students, so far on day 1 and day 2 topics before I get into day 3? Okay. Please explain option B. Okay. There is a question from Mukta. He would like me to explain the option B. Let me explain you. Option B says sales and distribution module include product inquiries, placing order, scheduling activities. That is true, right? Sales and distribution module, what the sales and distribution team does. So basically they ensure the sales related activities, right? So they will check whether the products are available or not. If available, they'll create a sales order in the system, because basically for customers, our sales team is the front end. The customers will not directly come and ask the material management team, hey, you have a stock, so can you please deliver it to me? No. The face between the customers to the organization is sales and distribution team. So they do the product inquiries, and if requires, they place a sales order, and if requires, they also do the scheduling of activities. When I say scheduling, when to deliver, how much quantity. Just because customer came and asked, I want all the 1,000 cars in next 1 month, they will not give that schedule. They will internally check with the material management team, production team, whether do we have 1,000 cars on hand or not. So this is what the sales and distribution example. I hope I answered your question, Mukta. Amritpal, on the examination perspective, we will see at the end. So just hold on for some more time. Okay, Mukta, placing an order means sales order. Okay, when customer comes, somebody has to record the transaction. See, if you want a material, okay, how you're raising a purchase order in your system? Basically, the purchase order has to go to supplier, right? So somebody has to create that transaction in the system, take that purchase order printout, either send that document to the supplier via email or via post or the electronic mode. You can directly transmit the purchasing order on the electronic mode to the supplier system. So these are all the advanced ways of communication. It's called EDI, electronic data interchange. Okay, so using these modes, you can share your order, right? Similarly, if a customer wants some material for you, he will be raising a purchase order to you. Okay, that purchase order will be converted into a sales order, because for us it's a sales. So that O2C cycle, if you can remember from your chapter number 1, O2C cycle, it starts from order inquiry and then sales order, then goods shipment. Means if it requires a manufacturing, it goes for manufacturing, or else shipment, customer invoice, and finally customer payment. So here the sales order means placing an order means customer order. What is the difference between repository and depository? If you can give me the context, I can explain you here all. Meeman, I'm sorry, I'm not that fluent in Hindi, so that's the reason I was not able to explain in Hindi. But if you have any questions, you can ask me in Hindi, I can understand. Okay, so there is a question from Pooja. Plant maintenance is required for proper functioning of production department. Then why is option A is wrong, sir? Option A here is controlling module, right? Where we are talking about option C. See, this is the answer for the question. Why it is a wrong statement? They don't involve in the process of production. See, production department is a different department. Okay. If you see in my chart, out of all the modules we have, there is a separate plant maintenance module. There is a production planning module. Production related planning will be taken care by the production department. Okay. Whereas there is a subset of them. Okay. Their responsibility is to take care of the plant maintenance. Okay. Purely ensuring that the plants are working fine or not. Production department responsibility. Okay. They got an order from the sales department. Hey, you need to deliver the 300 units in next 1 month. They get the order. Okay, they will check with the material department team whether they have the enough raw material or not, and accordingly they will start producing the cars. So producing the cars from the demand of the customer is the job of production department. They have to convert the raw material to the finished product. That is their own job. But whether the machinery is working fine or not, if it requires any maintenance, they don't take care of it. So there will be another team in the organization which uses the plant maintenance module to ensure. See, don't think from a small organization perspective. ERPs are basically meant for a bigger organization where there is a huge volume of operations and multiple departments exist to take care of each and every piece. If you go to a small factory, everything is taken care by one team only. So then you will get all these confusions. Always visualize as a bigger organization, something like in the automobile sector, Tatas or Hyundai, or even the Kia. So visualize those bigger plans, then you will be able to understand. Hiral, what is the central repository system related to ERP system? Okay, central repository means storing entire data in one place. I told you, right? The entire means now you understand there are various modules in the ERP application. Whoever created the transaction, ultimately in the back end, all the data stored in one place. Okay, that's the reason if the other department also want to see whether the production order is ready or not, or the items are available or not, whether the supplier paid amount or not, the other departments can also check. So that's the whole difference between integrated and non-integrated system, right? ERPs are integrated systems where everything is connected together so that they can exchange the information. Okay, good. So let's get into day 3 topics now. So as I told you in the starting of the class, day 3 is completely focused on reporting part. So now we understand how ERPs work, how they communicate with each other. Ultimately, the ERPs are meant for recording of transactions. Once you start recording the transactions, the accounting data will be there in the system. So using the data, I have to generate the reports. Okay. Why business has to generate the reports? Then what is the purpose of maintaining all these things? You need to know how you are performing, right? See, why examinations are conducted, why your examination reports or your mark sheets are given by the respective institutes. You need to know how you are performing, how you understood the topics, right? Similarly, for an organization to know whether they are performing well or not, that is the one reason they need reports. The another major reason is the statutory or legal compliances. Example, in the India context, you need to file so many of reports on a periodical basis. It could be GST returns or your ROC compliances, or even for PF departments, income tax department, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So for various regulatory departments, even for bankers, so you need to generate the reports and share the reports to them. So from where what is the base for them, or from where they get the data to generate the report? It is nothing but the ERP. So ERPs, the business users will record the transactions in the ERP. The data will store in the ERP. On that basis, somebody will generate the report and share it to the respective stakeholders. Okay, good. Repository and depository is same or not? Hiral, can you tell me where you got these terms, repository and depository, so that I can explain? See, explaining from English language is fine, but I want to understand the context so that I can give a right perspective to it. Okay, so let's understand what is the reporting system and what are all the options the businesses have. So this is very simple language to understand. Report means presentation of information in a proper and meaningful way. It is a system of regular reporting on the pre-decided aspects. So especially from the financial and accounting system perspective, the objective of the report to qualify as a proper report, it should give the right information at the right point of time to the right people. Okay, that's when you can definitely utilize the data. And basically from the finance side, when somebody says reports, we always keep in mind, means we always get to the point about financial statements, but there are a lot more other than the financial statements we will talk about with the topic management information systems. Okay, so again, how these reports are be helpful. The periodic review of key reports ensure the financial hygiene is kept and no misstatements creep in. See, if I am keep reviewing on every, it's not that the companies review the balance sheet or a profit and loss account on only year end. Okay, they do on monthly basis. Somebody might do even much shorter period, but as far as I know, the ideal period for an organization to review their performance is monthly. Basically, at the month end, once they close the periods, they generate all these financial statements and internal reports and evaluate whether are we doing good or not. At the year start, they will have the budgets. Okay, this year we have to sold so much of so many number of cars. We have to make so much of profit, so much of revenue we should make. All these targets they will have in the year start. On every month end, they will check, are we progressing in the direction which we are aiming for? So how they can verify? With the help of reports only. From where the reports will come? From the ERPs only. It's not from the ERP. Basically, it can come from other tools as well. We will get into that in terms of data analytics and business intelligence. But the data for everything is ERP. And they also talked about, as we talked about a couple of minutes ago, listed companies on the stock exchange. They also publish their annual reports to public at large. Okay, ROC filings and all. So all they're trying to convey is why a reporting is needed. Okay, what kind of reports? Some certain examples: balance sheet, profit and loss account, the periodic annual reports is what they have given here. Now, so as I told you earlier, don't think that when I say reports, always it will be financial statements. Financial statements are for the internal or a management sake or a leadership sake, as well as for certain legislative or statutory compliances. But there is another set of reports which is generated internally in the systems. So that is called management information system. Students, once you qualify as a chartered accountant, there are so many job roles in this department. Companies might hire you to prepare the management information systems. So you at least now understand what is MIS. If somebody says, okay, in our organization, there is an MIS role, can you come and join? Means you will be placed in a position to prepare all these kind of reports. So a person who has an accounting knowledge is the good fit to prepare these reports. So there will be a lot of job roles in this area from the practical part. So let us understand what is an MIS report. It's a tool that managers use to evaluate business processes and operations. So there are different kinds of MIS reports, and that may be used visually present different kind of information. I will tell you an example. Basically, MIS reports are used by the department managers. Let's say we understand what is a department, right? An organization will have finance department, production department, sales and distribution department. For every department, usually there will be a manager who takes care of that entire department operations. I don't think it requires any explanation. So for each department, there will be a manager. So what is their performance means how they will assess whether their department is performing well or not. They need to know certain metrics, okay, certain information they need to review on a periodic basis whether their team is doing well or not. Let's say from the finance department, again specifically talk about accounts payable. Let's assume accounts payable. Okay, how he can check how the accounts payable team is doing well or not. Basically, what is the responsibility of the accounts payable team? They have to process the supplier payments on time, okay, and with the best possible discounts. So if a supplier says, hey, if you pay my amount in 10 days, I will give you 2% discount. If not, ideally you have to pay within 30 days. This is the term, okay. If company have enough funds and its policy allows, let us pay them in 10 days, okay. So all these things are the responsibilities of the accounts payable department to ensure that the payments are happening on time, okay. That is their KPI. Yesterday we talked about in the last class, key performance indicator. So how the finance manager can evaluate whether the payable department is performing well or not. So there will be having certain reports called aging reports, okay. I'm taking an example of aging report. So this report gives all the suppliers, supplier 1, supplier 2, supplier 3, under supplier 1, invoice 2, invoice 3, like this. This invoice outstanding is 1,000. Ideally, it is already due by 10 days or 30 days or 40 days, okay. So here it will say it is due by 10 days. That means it is already due, but for some reason we haven't paid, means it is in the 10 days back bucket. So you have to pay for this invoice last 10 days back. Why you haven't paid? So this is what the report gives. So it's called aging report, okay, supplier aging report. Similarly, there could be certain invoice which is showing in the 40 days bucket, okay. Here it is showing. That means this invoice should be paid 40 days back. Why you haven't paid? So these kind of reports are available in the ERPs itself, so that it helps the respective departmental managers to check whether they are doing well or not, okay. So a couple of examples they have given here. Inventory report to check whether the on-hand inventory, how much we have, whether it is sufficient for the next production plan, all those stuff. How many orders in hand. So this will be reviewed by the sales and distribution manager. How many orders we currently have on our hand. Cash flow statements. Who is interested in cash flow statement? The finance and accounts department manager. He will check how much cash we have. The sales report again which is interested to the sales and department team. Production report, the production department. The budget reports, the finance department. If you see here, each report is more interested by the respective departments, not by everybody. Example, how much stock you have. Is a HR department is concerned about how much stock an organization is holding. They are least bothered because Their interest is means how many employees we hired in the last quarter or the last period, how many have been resigned from our organization, for what reason they have resigned, average period of stay in the organization, how much we have to improve the employee benefits. So these are all the information they are more interested in. Okay, so understand a point. MIS, management information system. So they are very clearly calling out, this is all these reports are for the management, not for the external stakeholders. So you won't share this information to outside of your organization. So MIS means internal reporting in simple terms in another language. So it is required by the management to assess the performance of the organization and allow for faster decision making. Okay, it is used by businesses of all sizes and industries. Simply means it's not that only bigger organizations need their system. It is required by everybody because they need to check whether they're doing well or not, right? But who checks? The respective department only takes care of their own set of reports. Now, this is what the next question. Who actually uses the MIS report? Let's say, as I told you in the previous example, the finance manager, he's more interested in cost variance report, working capital related reports, whereas the warehouse manager is interested in how much stock I have, what is the shipping information, how many orders have been delivered, how many yet to be delivered. So these are the interests of warehouse manager. So finance manager is least concerned about whether the order is delivered or not, because there is a separate department, separate person who is responsible for that. So don't get into a point, hey, definitely if you don't deliver it, you will not get a revenue. So ultimately finance also is responsible. No, that's not how it works. When you have a clear-cut segregation, so the respective department or a person is responsible for that piece of work in the organization. So that's why these reports are mainly interested by the respective departmental managers. So what it does, they automatically collect the data from various areas within a business. So they produce daily reports that can be sent to the key members throughout the organization. So on daily basis, let's say on everyday morning, my system automatically triggers the supplier aging report to my payable manager. Okay. So on day start, he will check, hey, there are so many invoices which are lined up for payment. Why these invoices are stuck? Is there any reason? So he will check with his department and ensure that the blockers have been resolved so that the funds can be released to the supplier. So, and they can also generate on-demand reports. On-demand means if they want to generate at the moment, they can also generate. It's not that somebody is sharing, so you can only review it. You can also run on your own with the way you want. And uses sophisticated computing technology and software to gather information. Smaller businesses often use smaller software programs. As I told you, so go with this. There is a business will do transactions for what purpose? To make profit, right? All these transactions are recorded in ERP applications, and means the data is actually storing in ERP. Okay, so from this ERP, anybody can generate reports. This is one way of doing it. But if you want to generate very sophisticated, if you want to do a lot of analysis on the data in between, okay, there will be a lot of, you can use some computer technology, latest technology you can use. Using the technology, you can generate the reports. What is the technology? We will see it later. So, and types of information in an MIS report. Basically, see, if you see here, it's a recent examination asked question. If you call it as a report, it should be proper. If somebody says the report should be proper, and what are all the attributes or kind of things it should have? Example, it should be relevant. Okay. It need to be specific to the business area they address, else reports might be ignored. As I told you, if you send a warehouse report, means by warehouse wise, how much stock is lying, to a HR department guy, will he able to make any meaning out of it? Or what can he do with that information? Or if you say how many employees have been promoted or hired in a particular quarter, if you share this information to a sales and distribution team, how this information helps them? No, right? So generation of reports is one side of the part. but you should ensure that the reports goes to the concerned team, or else it's a waste of time, right? Even in your mailboxes, you might be getting some hundreds of emails, a lot of emails you might be getting, but most of the emails are not even relevant to us. Somehow they got our email ID, they keep sending it. Will you read it? No, right? The same thing happens in the organization. If somebody keeps sending a lot of emails and a lot of reports, I don't need all those information to do my job, so they will ignore it. So the first important point is it should be relevant. The second thing is timely. You have to give that information at the right time. Example, in our supplier aging, if you give this report after an invoice is due by last 1 year, does it make sense? Means you have to pay to the supplier one year back, but this report is given today. So what the finance department payable guy do? He'll definitely go crazy. Hey, we need to pay to the supplier 1 year back. Why you guys are not paying to it? Or why you have not come to me, means which is stopping you to pay? So you should give this information in the right time. Then accurate. Of course, if you are giving a report, it should be accurate, both in terms of the numbers, dates and times, everything should be accurate, or else the decision making go wrong. And structured. So the report should be easily followable. Don't make it very complex to read and understand. Make it as simple as possible and very crystal clear. So this is what the 4 points. See, this is an examination questions. Basically, you need not even remember. Maybe the terminology you need to remember, but it's very self-explanatory. And even if somebody is giving to you, these are all the minimum points you expect, right? Visualize that you became a finance manager in an organization. If somebody is giving a report to you, you expect these things, right? It should come on time, and that report information should be relevant to you to read and understand it, and it should be accurate, and it should be more easy to follow. So those are all the 4 points you need to remember and answer in the examination. Okay, let's take this quick assessment, and I see that there are a couple of questions here. Then I'll take those as well. All of the following represent the attributes of information provided by management information system except one. Identify the odd one which does not belong to this category. So students, share the answers. Meanwhile, I will go through the questions here. Okay, Hiral, central repository or a depository. Repository means it's a kind of storing, nothing more than that. You are keeping everything in one place. That's called repository. Even depository is kind of a synonymous names if you talk in that context. Okay, there is a beautiful question from Pooja. So she brought a real-time example. Her father is into business and complaining about payments. See, Pooja, for various reasons, organizations get into that mode. At the end, whether you use how sophisticated systems, who actually do the things, it's a humans. So when you're performing, when you are dealing with humans, there is always a chance that you can go here and there. It's not that you can always maintain a super standards, right? So that happens. So that is the reason, with the help of these MIS reports, they keep reviewing it, try to improvise by period by period. So previously, they might have a standard that usually they pay on time, okay? Or else they pay 10 to 15 days delay. If that is their regular practice, by getting this data on a timely basis, they will try to plan what is causing us to delay for the 10-15 days. So they will identify all these root causes and will work on those root causes, then improvise their payment cycle. That's how the organization has to grow. Okay, good. So all the students have given right answer. Congratulations. So you got what I'm trying to convey you here. So scalability is not the attribute of report. Scalable means expandability. Okay. Report expandability is not it. So if it should be crisp, it should be crisp. If it should be elaborative, it should be elaborative. Now, so we understand, we got into the reporting. We understand what is a reporting system. So you have some external reporting like financial statement sharing to the ROCs, and also internal reporting. Under internal reporting, we discussed about MIS. Okay. Now, as I told you previously, always remember this chart. Business perform the transactions. It perform the transactions, and those transactions are recorded in ERP. So the data is lying in the ERP. From this, you can generate the reports. But if you want to do a lot of analysis on the data, okay, ERPs are not meant for data analysis. Those are meant for recording the data. Okay, all they help you is recording the data to some bit of automation and generation of basic reports. But if you want very beautiful way of reporting, or a lot of data need to be analyzed and take a conclusions, so there you fall back on these topics: data analytics, business intelligence. So a lot of these are all again some software tools. Using this, you do all those analysis and generate the reports in the way you want. Now we will go, so we are going one step deeper. Okay, previously we understand the basic importance of ERPs, how the reporting requirement works. Now we are going on the technology part. So data analytics, again, the objective of discussing this topic here is not to make you a data scientist. Okay, if you are more interested in data analytics, you need to do a separate program on data analytics, become a data scientist or a data architect. Okay, here just they're introducing you the term data analytics. As the term says, analytics means you're analyzing on data. Okay, that's where everybody does. But why you need a separate software? If you have hundreds and hundreds of transactions, and which is happening in a fraction of seconds, then it's very difficult. You generate a report from the ERP. See, ERPs have a limitation on the reporting part. Okay, believe me, none of the ERPs are great in reporting. Okay, all they can do is they can generate a standard reporting. So most of the organizations, what they do, they have a ERP for sure, because they need to record the transactions, automate the process within the company. There is no doubt about it. But for reporting, they will take some other softwares, okay, as an add-on. On top of ERPs, these softwares will read the data from ERP and generate the report or do all the analysis. So the data analytics is the process of examining data sets. Data set is nothing but data, to draw conclusions about the information they contain, increasingly with the aid of specialized systems and software. So as they really called out, it's not done from ERP. They use some different softwares to do it. What is that software? We are not going to discuss. How that software works, we are not going to discuss. All we are trying to understand what is meant by data analytics. So why that is needed? Like, what are all the advantages to the business? See, generation of the reports means, example, if you see a balance sheet, what is the conclusion you drive from it, or even a P&L account? So you can say whether this company is making profits or not. That is what you can say. Okay. Now, if you compare the same profit and loss account to the previous year, what is the extra conclusion you can get? Okay, when compared to the last period, this period, the organization might have performed well or not performed well, or on the same standard. So beyond this, can you get any other conclusions, or can you take any other insights from that information? Definitely no. So with the help of data analytics, what they do, I'm just giving an example. So they will review all the customer transactions data. So they will analyze, okay, out of the revenue I made, lot of revenue come from this product, or this age band of customers bought so and so volume of this product, so that they can channelize, they can plan accordingly. Okay, let's take an example of Amazon or a Flipkart. So these are, we know that India, the biggest e-commerce platforms. Do you know how many transactions happens on Amazon or a Flipkart platform on any single day? Can anybody visualize what is the volume of transactions that can be happen on any e-commerce platforms? Samriddhi, I'll try to show from the application any one of the MIS report. Okay, that aging report, as I told you, I'll try to show that. I have to log into it once we maybe before break. I also remembered there is a question from one of the student when we're talking about master data and non-master data. Certain data, even though we key into the system, that will not be considered as, means if you take that data from the list of values, that should not be considered as a master data. So there is a question I remember from day one. These 2 points I can show you once I log into the application. Nakul has given 1 lakh. So how do you know, Nakul, it's exactly 1 lakh? Saipa, maybe 1 lakh transactions. Samriddhi, millions of transactions. Jaspreet, millions. Unlimited. For sure, there is no concept of unlimited. You should be quantifiable. It happens in millions. I previously worked in one of the e-commerce platform. I know that their invoices, supplier invoices, okay, forget about customer transactions, how many orders they place. I don't remember that number. Our ERP applications used to process 500,000 transactions. That means 5 lakh plus supplier invoices have been processed on ERP on a single day. Visualize that. Can somebody read through all the data and make out something? Definitely no. So visualize these kind of organizations. So they need these sophisticated systems to analyze their data and generate the reports. Okay. So by going through the volume of transactions, they can make different conclusions. Example, on Amazon platform, if they see all the customers, let's assume there are some 1 million transaction happen, means 1 million orders are placed by the customers. Okay. If they have a system to analyze these 1 million transactions, maybe they can draw a conclusion. Let's say out of this 1 million transactions, 7 million transactions are happening in electronics category. So that means a lot of customers are interested to buy electronics on our platform. So they can make a conclusion from it. So out of the electronics, you can further bifurcate it. Okay, around that 70% of the electronic transactions are for the mobile applications, mobile phones, and that too, those are smartphones, and that too, they are 20,000 above category. So all this slicing and dicing can happen through data analytics software. So what you can do all this with all this data, once I understand the customer behavior, customer expectations, I can give those kind of services to them. I can more focus on that. See, if nobody's buying clothes or all these for wardrobe, so if nobody's buying or nobody's much interested on your clothes, why Amazon has to focus on cloth business? They can focus on electronic business, right? Which is giving more revenue. So to draw these kind of conclusions, there should be a system to analyze the data in such a faster manner. So ultimately, that helps them to increase the revenue, operational efficiency. They can perform well, they can plan well, they can do things well, and optimize the marketing campaigns and customer service efforts. As I told you, if you see that most of the customers are buying mobile phones for Amazon platform, the moment you log into Amazon, on the front page itself, they will give you all offers related to mobile phones. Why? Because they know that customers are coming to Amazon platform for mobiles. So they try to attract you more by giving the relevant advertisements on their platform. So this is what they're saying. And enable to respond more quickly to emerging market trends allows gaining a competitive edge over rivals. So if you have these kind of data analytical tools with you, you can one step ahead than the business. Okay. If somebody is not using these tools, they might be they might be backward, right? There are a lot of companies. Example, if you take a classic example in the technology world, Nokia. So I don't know how far you guys used Nokia mobiles, but in our days, when we start getting the mobile phones, Nokia is the only brand and biggest brand in the market. So getting a Nokia feature phone itself is a big deal for us. I still remember it is the feature phone 1100 mobile costing you some 2,000 or 1,500 or 3,000. So buying at that range, we feel great. If somebody have that feature phone, we thought, okay, it's great. He has that phone. Now, if you see, nowhere in the market, they have certain products, but I don't see who bought it, who is really care about Nokia brand. So you should always think beyond the market. So how you can do all the stuff? You need to have the right information at a right time. So to get that, you need to use these softwares. Okay. So data could be historical. So you can use the historical data or current data to do all this analysis. Now, so you remember when we are talking about the data warehouse and data warehousing, I have given a particular statement. How the data is transformed into an insight or a knowledge, we will discuss in day 3. So this is the place where we are going to talk about it. So before I explain this flowchart, I'll give you an example. Okay, then we will understand it. Okay, just give me a minute. Let me see here any questions. Okay, here all OLAP means online analytical processing. It's a software in simple terms. By using the tool, you can analyze. Just remember to that extent. Online analytical processing. It's a software to analyze the transactions. That's it. I am not particularly aware about any softwares because I'm not into the data analytics side. I'm not from that technology. If you ask anything from ERP side, I can tell you. With my limited knowledge on the business intelligence and data analytics, I'll try to explain. But I don't know any particular product from OLAP side. Now, so just I'll read through these definitions and then we will take an example to understand better. So there is the data. If you put the data in a context, that becomes an information. When that information is added to some, if you add some insights to the information, it becomes a knowledge. And when you knowledge, using that knowledge, if you add some foresight or intuition, it becomes intelligence. Intuition means some gut feeling or your visualizations. Adding your to the knowledge, it becomes the intelligence. So intelligence in the right situations drive better decisions. Finally, it leads to intelligence decision. So let us see with an example how a particular thing transforms from data to an intelligent decision. Okay, then we can come back to these definitions if you want to read it further. Okay, students, have you understood anything? I'm showing some data on the screen. Just tell me, what is your perception on this? You might get a clue because I have given the clue in the data, but just let me know what you got from this. What you got from this? Analytics. Nakul, analytics means you are analyzing something called analytics. What else I can say? See, on the data, as I told you in the example, you have a transaction data of 1 million transactions on a day on a customer placed 1 million orders. Okay. If you just leave there, it just says, okay, on my platform, I have 1 million transactions. Now you are further analyzing it. Okay. Okay. Let's take out of this 1 million orders, which item category have been falling in more. So out of this 1 million, 7 lakh transactions belongs to the electronics category. So I'm analyzing the data. To do that part, I can use certain softwares. So overall, this process is analytics. Okay, I'm seeing certain answers here. Chapter-wise questions, weightage, blueprint, marks, it's raw data, not properly understandable, weightage of marks of each chapter per paper. Maybe some students are quite intelligent, so they came to the conclusion now itself, or they might have read through my PPT, the next slide. So that's the reason they might know the answers in advance. But I would like to take one particular statement, which is what I want to know. From Jaspreet, it's raw data not properly understandable is the correct statement I'm looking for. Okay, now, so I keep moving here and there. If you see here, data, if I don't use example, if I don't use this word at all in this chart, you'll not be able to make out anything for sure. Okay, just to speed up our analysis, I have given that clue. I have given a chapter. Okay, so let's assume we don't know anything. Don't visualize anything, don't predict anything. It's just a data. I don't know what it is, in what context I'm talking about. How do you know that I'm talking about marks? I'm not talking about marks. I might be talking about the number of pages or number of questions. Could be anything, right? How you know that it's a marks I have given here? No, because I have not given anything here to understand. So that means it's called data. Okay, now if you see here, if I keep the data in the context, it becomes information. Now, what is the context in this example? Now we are more clear. Total number of marks by chapter wise for last 10 attempts. So here the context is the marks by chapter wise from last 10 attempts. This is the context. When the same data kept in the context, it becomes information, right? Now I could able to make out, okay, from this chapter 1, from the last 10 attempts, these are all the scores I got, means these are all the examination marks I got. Okay, let's say in June 17 from chapter 1, it came for 12 marks. In June 18, it came for 14 marks. So I kept the same data in the context, then it become information. So at least I can make out something out of this data. Now we see the next stage, how it is getting evolved. See the definition? When it become knowledge, when you keep the information, add the insights. Means insight is nothing but deep understanding. You are further analyzing, you are further doing something on the data. Okay, so then it become knowledge. Now, so far we understand these are all last 10 attempts examination weightage or a marks by chapter wise. Now, what I have done some insights here. I have taken totals of it. Okay, so it gives some more additional information to us. So what is this knowledge is giving now? Intelligence. What it says? Again, if I add a foresight to it, so foresight example is an average. So I am further analyzing the data. So not only I am totaling it, I am analyzing it further. Okay. So finally it become intelligent decision. So by using this, all these things, I can say now, if I can focus on chapter number 3 and 4, almost 50% of the paper I can attempt. Okay. Or 50% of the targets I can gain. So this is how the data is being transformed into an intelligent decision if you put in different context. So I hope this is not for EIS paper. Anyway, in your EIS paper, you have only 5 chapters, right? So in this example, I have taken 6 chapters. So last time also students got confused or more interested to apply this to EIS. Just an example, because we're all students and more interested in marks and exams, right? So that's the reason I have taken this example, or else I would have taken some business related transaction. But this is how the data transforms to an intelligent decision. Okay. So any doubts here, students? I hope you understand how data moves to intelligent decision. So when you're reading it, read the definition, take this example, then you will be able to get a clear clarity between how it is moving from one stage to another stage. Okay. Vinay, you said no, sir. I don't understand actually. That means you got the concept or you didn't get the concept. Anybody else have means not clear about how the data moves to intelligent decision? See, instead of giving, see, if somebody sees this chart, if I show this chart in the first itself, what decision you can make out? You can simply say, out of these 6 chapters, considering the last 10 attempts, so chapter number 3 and 4 looks more important for me. If I first focus it, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't touch you shouldn't read or you shouldn't prepare the next chapters. The focus means the strategy should be, you should first be 100% clear about or prepare for chapter number 3 and 4. So if you total it, out of the total marks, it comes approximately 50% of the marks. So now the second highest is this chapter. The next one is this, next this, next this, last this. So this will help you to prepare as a strategy. So how the data confirm means move to informed decision is what we are trying to understand here. Great, it's clear. Now, so we're going to a little bit more on the data analytics part. Again, it's not something they're asking you to understand the technology behind it. All they're trying to do is introduce those terms. If in future, if you come across any of these terms, at least you understand what does that mean. So one of the student already asked, what is analytics? Okay, analytics is nothing but using some tools, you're analyzing the data. All you're doing was data analysis. Maybe I'm not sure how many of you heard that there is a tool called big data. This is a very popular name in technology field. Big data is nothing but analyzing large volumes of data and make out some decisions out of it. Okay. Now, on the data analytics applications part, so there are various types of analytics you can make. One category of analytics is exploratory data analysis. That means all you have is the data. Okay. From that data, you are predicting, you are visualizing it. Okay. You are trying to find some patterns and relationships in data. What they have given an example. How many of you are interested in some investigative kind of films where the police or a hero or the detective, what he does, he go to the crime scene, he checks all the available factors. Okay. Where is the person lying? How means if somebody is kept some item over there, if somebody touched that item, or how this person have been murdered. So he analyzes all the things available there, and from there he visualizes, okay, this might be the case, this is how he would have been murdered, right? So he extrapolate, okay, he visualize by using the available information. So if you're doing that kind of analysis, it's called extrapolate, means exploratory data analysis. Means if you again apply this discussion to our Amazon example, by seeing that 1 million orders, you are extrapolating it. Okay, in last 1 month, I have means in this day, on a particular day, I have 1 million transactions, especially on the electronics. Why people are buying so much of mobile phones on same day? Okay, so you can further visualize what could be the probable reason, so that you can plan accordingly your marketing campaigns, your offers and all those stuff. Okay, so this is what exploratory data analysis. The other thing is confirmatory data analysis. Means you are just going the opposite way. After getting some statistical techniques to determine whether the hypothesis about the data set are true or false. Means previously you visualized and drawn some conclusions. Okay, these are all the reasons why customers are buying so much of mobile phones now or in this period. Okay, so you visualized it, so you find some couple of reasons. These could be the probable reasons. Now with the help of confirmatory data analysis, use some statistical techniques to prove that those probabilities or visualizations are correct. Out of the three which you visualize, maybe one or two are the right reasons, the remaining one are not. So that's called confirmatory data analytics. So in your textbook, they have given an example of court scene, how a lawyer, okay, with the help of all the available evidences, he tries to prove that due to all these reasons, my client is not a victim. Okay, so it's called exploratory analysis. Whereas the judge in the court, by considering all the evidences, he gives a confirmation whether that person is a guilt or not. Okay, that's called confirmatory data analysis. So these are the two categories of analysis. Now the other subset of analysis, quantitative, qualitative. Very easy to understand. If you are doing analysis with the help of numbers, it becomes quantitative data analysis. If you do the analysis with the help of some text or images or audio or video, it becomes qualitative data analysis. So these are the different 4 categories of analysis you have. You also have a little bit of advanced types. So data mining. So don't worry, this data mining will be covered in detail in chapter number 3 again. Data mining is nothing but, again, you see here, sorting through large data sets. See, basically, you always remember when data analytics needed, if you have only 1 or 2 transactions, you don't need these sophisticated tools or hi-fi tools to analyze the data. As I told you, companies like nowadays, if you see any international organization, they'll have a numerous number of transactions on any given day. So if somebody want to analyze and make a decision out of it, their existing softwares or tools will not sufficient. They have to go with these specific data analytic softwares. Okay, so data mining is one of the process where you sort out where the large sets of data to identify the patterns, trends, and relationships. As I given an example, 1 million transactions, you identify what actually customers bought, which items are bought mostly, what is that range, what is that customer age group, from which part of the India they bought, okay, at what period of time they bought, is there any specific reason they bought on a particular day. So all these kind of analysis can be done with the help of these tools. Predictive analysis, as I told you, by going through all these things, you can predict, okay, these are all the reasons why people bought so much of electronics. Example, before budget. Okay, let's say in the budget, the finance minister says we are going to increase the GSTs on the imported chips or mobile phones. Okay, what happens? We know that, of course, all the electronic goods have been, the prices will go by so and so percentage. So people start buying, whoever want to buy, they'll buy it. Okay. So by getting this kind of softwares, they will try to analysis and predict the customer behavior. And next year also, when the budget is coming, they know that based on the budget, there might be impact on my business. Okay. And also machine learning. So machine learning, we have in chapter number 4 in under advanced technologies. I think they removed recently, but basically machine learning is nothing but machines can think similar to humans. Okay, so how they can think? With the help of artificial intelligence, again, is a separate software. With the help of that, they can think and act or behave like humans. Any questions so far, students? Okay, so we understand. So we have been thinking about, we have been discussing about what is data analytics, what all the different kind of analytics we do, why those are needed, right? What happens in the process? So for the same, if you correlate with my example, that is what happens. The data analysis happens in these 3 phases. One is the collection of data. We got that 1 million transactions of customer orders. Then what I do? I will clean the data. Sometimes the data is not that great. Okay, I have to clean the data before I start analyzing it. That's what find and fix the data quality problem. If ideally I want all the customer orders, right? But somehow my system has given some supplier orders as well, or they might have given some previous day transactions in my current data set. So I should sort out all this data, and then only I should start using my analytical tools to draw the conclusions. So this is a 3-step process. This is also an important question. So inside the data analytic process, there are 3 steps to it. First, I need to collect the data, clean the data, and then start building the analytical model. I hope it's easy to understand. Okay, so there is an assessment question. It's again, we already discussed it in the chart. Means OLAP means online analytical processing. Now, there is a next concept, business intelligence. We almost reached to 7:30. I'll do one thing. I will log into the application and I will answer those 2 queries. One is from the data part. The another one is somebody wants to see how the transactions happens in that module, right? Just allow me a couple of minutes. Let me see whether I can log into that application or not. After that, we can take a quick break and then we can resume, because I see a lot of new things are coming into picture. So the rest of the topics are quite easy. We're going to touch base about, again, how data analytics we understand. Similarly, there is another software called business intelligence related softwares. We understand what is a business intelligence and what all the technology behind. Then we get into XBRL. So I think we can finish in next 30 minutes or so, and then we'll move on to finally any question and answers or examination pattern, all those things we can see. So let me log into the application. Okay, here all machine learning means over a period of time, your machines are trained to understand how to behave, how to perform a certain job with the help of artificial intelligence softwares or tools. That's called machine learning. Okay. I know I have given a very simple way of explanation, but if you want to understand from the technology, basically, I can give you an example of Alexa, or if you're using Apple products, Siri, or Google Home. These are all the examples of machine learning. Let's say On Amazon Alexa, if you ask what is the temperature today, based on the Google location, it says in your location today's temperature is so and so. So how that Alexa, a small speaker, understand your statement or understand your question? If it is a human, it's okay. I can understand. Humans have intelligence and knowledge, so they can understand your question, translate it, and analyze and give the answer to you. But how a small speaker understand your question? This is called a machine learning. So they keep training the systems with the help of a lot of questions. Hey, if somebody asks whether this is how you should behave, so they will write all those rules with the code. Okay, I think you might have got some insights now. So one of the question asked by the students on day one, from this point, I remember very clearly when I'm talking about master data and non-master data, there is a point here. Yeah. Transactional data can also be selected from the drop-down list for expediting the data entry process. See, what does that mean? Previously, we said if you are creating any transactions, you could have used master data as well as non-master data. So out of it, the transaction number is a non-master data, because today, if you create a transaction, the number will be 1, 2, 3. Tomorrow, if you create, it will become 4, 5, 6. You can't predict in advance the transaction number for a given supplier or a given invoice is this. Okay. Whereas the supplier name, which is an example of master data, whether I create an invoice today, a day after, or after a month, after an year, the name will not change, right? As per our explanation. So supplier name is a master data, whereas the invoice number is a non-master data. Similarly, let's say, and one of the attribute we were discussing here when we are talking about master data, okay, let me enlarge it. Master data is generally not typed by the user, okay? But how it will be entered? It is selected from the available list. From the list, you just select it. So that is one of the attribute of master data. So now don't confuse that. If any data, if you are selecting from the list, will it always become a master data? No, they are giving an exception here. They are giving an exception. Okay, just because you are selecting some data from the list, that doesn't qualify as a master data. So now I'll be showing you in the live what is that. Let's say I'm creating an invoice. Again, students whoever viewing this on mobile phones, they might have an issue of visibility, but follow the concept. Maybe when you find time, see it on a bigger screens. So when I'm creating an transaction, supplier invoice, I can give a reference of purchase order. Means initially we created a purchase order for a supplier. For that purchase order, now I'm creating an invoice. In such case, let's say I remember one purchase order number. I am just entering the number here. See here, there is a small 3 dots button. It means it's a list. I can select from the existing list. So what I'm entering here, purchase order number. So if I enter and type, automatically I am getting my supplier name, supplier number, supplier address. Lot of details are coming automatically. Previously, I used to select the supplier name from the list. But here, the moment I enter the purchase order number, all other details are coming. So can I say, since I'm selecting from the list, can I say the purchase order number is a master data? No, that is what they're saying. Okay. I hope you understand this explanation. Now, any other question? Any other questions? I actually forgot what is the question I was referring. I will show you when I log into the application. Students, can somebody help me? One of the student asked and I mentioned I'll show you on the application. Okay, I got it. MIS report. Okay. I talked about that aging report, right? Let me show you in the accounts payable module. I have an aging report. One of the MIS report example I'm giving. Yeah. Invoice aging report. Let me take something. It might take a couple of minutes to complete this report. Meanwhile, let me see if you have any other questions. So I am showing an example of an MIS report, specifically the aging report, which gives the invoice wise how much old they are. Means ideally you should have paid them, but you didn't pay. But how many days you already lost? Chetna, XBRL, we haven't gone there. Once we come back from the break, we can discuss about business reporting and XBRL together. So with that, we will be finishing the chapter number 2. Then we will get into the examination questions, any of your doubts or MCQ related thing, anything we can discuss. Okay, just give me maybe next half an hour. So I will show this report and we'll take a quick break for 10 minutes and then we will come back and continue the rest of the topics. Okay, the report is completed. Now I'm showing the report output. Let me maximize it. Students, are you able to see this report output? What it says? Invoice aging report. Okay, if you see here for 3M Healthcare, this is the supplier name. Trading partner is nothing but all these suppliers. Okay, if you see from the company perspective, what is the total amount I am due to the suppliers? I have to go to the end of the report. It shows some 581, 239, 122.3. So this is the amount I am due to the suppliers. But out of that, if you see here, certain one transaction is current. That means it was out of the total outstanding amount to 3M Healthcare. 4,900 is not due. That means I need not worry about the 4,901. The rest of the value, approximately the remaining 26,000, maybe actually this report has cut down here. It have crossed beyond 90 days. That's why it is not showing in the report. This is not the proper way. Ideally, it will show. I would have selected a wrong parameters. So it will show here the 26,000 is due more than 90 days. So this helps the finance payable manager to ensure that to pay the payments on time. So this is one of the KPI report, MIS report, Management Information System report. I hope you got it. Okay. So with this, I'm just stopping for now. Let's take a break of 10 minutes. It's 7:37. We will catch up around 7:50. Let's catch up at 7:50. And then we will continue with the rest of the topics. So we'll need to continue from business intelligence. Okay. Let's take a quick break for 13 minutes. We'll come back at 7:50. Hi students, I hope you're all back with a quick break. So let's quickly wrap up the rest of the topics which are lined up for today. So the next topic is business intelligence. See, business intelligence is a broader term. So far we discussed about data analytics, right? Data analytics is a subset of business intelligence. Okay. Now, just read through the definition, then you will understand. Business intelligence is a technology driven process. So by using some tools and softwares, you analyze the data and present it in a actionable information. So what it does, it converts the data into a form where you can make out some decisions, you can take certain actions. Okay. For what reason? To help corporate executives, business management, and other end users make more informed decisions. So it simply means it analyze the data, convert the data in such a way so that you can understand what is happening inside of it, and finally take an informed decision. So if you see, I have given a screenshot here. This is a typical way of representing data in terms of charts. See, we all know that if I simply give my balance sheet, like a Schedule 6 presentation, so very difficult for a person who can't understand the accounting. But if you give in a pictorial representation, he can understand easily, right? So that's what happens for the top leadership management. They don't want to go to the report and understand what has happened. If you see quickly, I'm just explaining what is there. So they talk about what is the total contract value by year wise, and also by product wise, how much contracts we are holding it, what is the aging of the contracts. So all this data, okay, so can be represented in pictorial way so that the top management can quickly understand what is happening inside the organization. Instead of giving bunch of reports, read through the reports and all those stuff, these tools help us to analyze the data and take an actionable information. Okay. So this is about the business intelligence. They simply talked about, so it takes the data from, it could be some internal systems or external sources, and prepare it for analysis, all those stuff. So as we talked about so long, so all they does, they collect the data, analyze the data, convert the data in such a way you take an action. Remember our example, how data transformed into an information and then knowledge, and finally you could able to make some intelligence decisions. So why you need to have, these are very self-explanatory, so better not to spend much time to make well-informed decisions. Means if you take a decision, you have some background to it. It's not that, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. It's not like that. If company has a taken decision, they should have a data supported by a data. That data can come from by using these tools. And to extrapolate information to predict the trends. We already talked about the data analytics, right? So this is what they're talking about: improve the timeliness and quality, and also changes in the customer behavior, capabilities, position of the firm, market conditions. So these are very quite advantages of all these tools. So why you are using all those sophisticated tools? To be in the race, right, in the market. If you want to perform well and gain more customers, you need to understand what is the market conditions, what is the customer taste, behavior, what point of time, what they're buying, how much they're spending on a particular category. So to get all these kind of information, you use these tools. So these are the reasons for business intelligence. From the benefits per se, of course, we can quickly read through it. Again, just I highlighted here, there is a recent question on this. What are all the benefits of using business intelligence? So it improves the overall performance of the company. So how? If you know how your customers are, if you can understand the customer's buying pattern, accordingly you can manufacture your products or give offers or something like that, right? If you know them, what is their expectation, then accordingly you can curate your marketing. So it also accelerates and improves the decision making, optimize the internal business process. See, I'm just reading through this benefit because it doesn't require any technical explanation. So if you having those tools, what are all the advantages? So it enhances the communication among departments, operational efficiency, the way how better they can perform, driving new revenues. So all you need to do is visualize a couple of examples. Like if I know that customers are buying more electronics, and especially in the age group of 20 to 30 years, so accordingly I can change my marketing strategy so that I can get more business opportunities and gaining competitive advantage over business rivals. to identify the market trends and spot business problems that need to be addressed. So all these are various classic real-time examples which can be solved with the help of these intelligence tools, which enhances the customer experiences. As I told you, based on your spending, means your recent purchase history, the platforms recommend, okay, people bought this product, may also bought these product. So how the Amazon platform or a Flipkart knows that who bought this, who also bought this one. Example, if you are buying a particular mobile phone, on the bottom they will suggest you buy this mobile cover or take this insurance or something like this. So they're on the back end, they have all these intelligence tools. So with the help of that, they recommend the product suggestions. If you're searching a particular product, they'll recommend on the bottom a different company of similar type of product. So something like this. All these things can be done with the help of these tools. So these are all the various benefits of business intelligence. There is a question here from Hiral. Is aging report is made by using data analytics? No, it's a very simple report from the ERP itself. There are no data analytic tool used. The existing ERP itself is able to generate. That's what I told you, right? From ERP, you can definitely generate reports. But example, if you want something like this, you'll not be able to get it from ERP. You need to have a separate business reporting tools. We call them as business reporting tools. See, whether you have a feature phone or a smartphone, using both the phones, you can make a call. There is no problem into it. So that's what the parlance I'm saying. Having an ERP, you can definitely generate a report. But if you want to go an advanced way of things, you want to, I'm sorry. So if you want to go an advanced way of reporting, better way of presentation, the ERPs will not be sufficient, because the objective of ERP is not to generate an intelligence report or something like this. Their capability is only to record the transaction, automate your business process, computerize your process. That's it. Okay. They have a definitive objective. They can meet that objective without any doubt. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. If you see, business intelligence is a broader term. In this, it has data analysis applications. See, some of the examples they have given, I don't have access to any of these tools to demonstrate, but just understand business intelligence means you are using certain data analysis, means using some softwares, you analyze the data, and to present it again, to visualize, you also have certain additional softwares, and also you can use certain analytical softwares. So by using all these in combination, that will become business intelligence. So this is what they are talking about. The bottom ones are a couple of products they have given, but I don't have access to any of these products to show you, but just they have given some software names. So BI data is typically stored in data warehouse or a smaller data marts. You remember on day 2, I have showed one diagram where the entire data from legacy systems, when we are talking about data warehouse, in that slide, I have one small screen. So you have a legacy data that is stored in extract, transform, load, ETL. By using the ETL tools, you convert into a common form, and then that will be subdivided into data marts. By using the data marts, you can generate the required reports. So that is what they're talking about. Here, Hadoop systems. Somebody was asking the question, explain me about Hadoop. Hadoop is a tool, is a software to do the big data analysis. I was talking about big data, right? Hadoop is one of the software. Again, I'm not specialized in big data analytics, so I don't have any information about the Hadoop systems or access with me. But just understand, it's one of the software to do the data analysis. So now we understand what is meant by business intelligence is nothing but combination of all these tools to generate that very presentive or very simplified way of reports or intelligence reports to do the analytical part of it. So usually, who are the form part of the business intelligence team? So these are the people, business intelligence architects. So these are the people who actually design that tools or work with that. So if you want any kind of technical help, you can take from business intelligence developers, and then business analysts, who are the people who help to prepare, means the functional people who gave the requirements, and the data management professionals, finally the end users. So business users are end users. These are all the technical, these are the hardcore technical guys. If somebody wants to use that, somebody has to go and implement. Example, we are talking about ERPs, right? If a company wants to have an ERP, people like us, they call us consultants. So similarly, if somebody wants to use business intelligence, they need to have an architect, they need to have a developer. Architect means is a senior position who actually designs the entire system, and the developer is the person who actually develops the system. Okay. Analyst and data management professionals are subset of the technical team, but actually business users are the people who uses that information or tool. So this is about business intelligence. There is a question here from Surabhi. Business intelligence is done as a separate software than ERP. Okay, I can't say a hard answer, either yes or no, but the latest trend is lot of ERP packages are coming with business intelligence tools inbuilt. Means with the ERP itself, you can perform certain level of business intelligence works. But if you want a hardcore intelligence tools, you have to go for a separate tool, separate softwares. Okay, I hope you understand business intelligence. It's simple to understand. There is nothing much to worry about it. Now we are coming into the last leg of the chapter, business reporting and fundamentals of XBRL. First, we'll start to understand what is meant by business reporting. So here also, see, if you see the whole from last close to 2 hours, we were keep talking about reporting, right? So here also nothing much. But one extra point, what I would like to emphasize under business reporting, financial and regulatory reporting, which you and me can easily understand. So when I say financial, we talk about financial statements are form part of financial reporting. Regulatory reporting, let's say your GST reporting, annual ROC compliance reporting, or any income tax related reportings, or any RBI bank. If you are an insurance company, any reporting IRDAI, at the same time SEBI. So like this, or the regulatory reporting. So these two category of reportings, you and me are very familiar. We know what does that mean. Okay. But there is one more new term that you are getting into it. Okay. Environmental, social and governance reporting or sustainability reporting. This is a new trend or a new momentum. I have seen this reporting from quite a long, but I am seeing very frequently or a lot of talks are happening on this area. So did anybody know what is meant by environmental, social and governance reporting? Okay. Students, can you quickly respond? Did anybody know what is meant by ESG reporting? I told you, give an example of financial and regulatory reporting. When I say financial reporting, all your financial statements form part of financial reporting. Whereas regulatory reporting, I have given examples. So do anybody know what is meant by ESG reporting? Please share your responses so that I'll be sure that you guys are able to follow. Students, please share your responses. Do anybody know what is meant by ESG reporting? Okay, I see here responses. Sorry, you guys are already responding, but there is a delay in the chat box. Milton Kumar said ESG reporting is the disclosure of environmental, social and corporate governance data. I would like to understand a little more user level definition. So Prabhas said ESG reporting means the reporting of environmental safety practices followed by firm to ensure social benefit. Prabhas, you are close to the answer. Yes, absolutely correct. Pooja, pollution and other impact on environment by companies. Pooja, it's not only for pollution. As Prabhas said, we talk on various directions. See, as a company, we understand that your sole objective is making profits. So that's the fundamental. We started our entire chapter 2 discussions, right? But if you keep focusing on earning money or making profits, you might damage the society as well. So as an outsider, how I can give a respect to the company? If you're purely commercialized, at some point of time, I will not be much interested in your organization. So somewhere, you should be taking care of the environment in which you are operating. Okay, so you might have heard a word called corporate social responsibility. So a lot of organizations are spending money, and governments are giving some benefits to the companies who are spending on CSR. And also, I believe there is a mandate that a minimum percentage of amount has to be spent on CSR activities, right? So you will come to know once you get into the our companies and the audit. So just focus on CSR. Whenever you next time, if you go for audit for bigger companies, just understand what is the CSR activities they are doing and corporate social responsibility. Okay. Now, what I'm sharing on the screen is a standard disclaimer. I'm nowhere connected with ICICI, but I just recently come across this document. I thought this is a good example for you to make you understand what is an ESG reporting. Okay, this report is publicly available on the ICICI website itself. Anybody can go and download. But what I would like to show the practicality part. See, not reading from here, I can simply say ESG is environmental social reporting, and and these are all the reasons for which the ESG has been prepared. But I would like to show a practical example. Nowadays, you can go for any corporate. They'll be publishing these reports. If you see here, it's one of the banking industry. Their report from 2020, 2021. Let's see what they're publishing in this report. Just focus on this one paper. Then you will understand what we are talking about. Yeah. So this is what I would like to show you. Environmental, social governance on 3 pillars, how this organization is doing its responsibility. From the social angle, what they're saying, grassroots banking, 50% of the branches in rural and semi-urban areas. So most of the operations, 50% are in rural and semi-urban. That means indirectly they're saying we are focusing on rural areas as well, not only on metropolitan areas, so that you might have know the statistics, right? From the India as a country, you have more population in rural areas. So that means you are reaching out to the more accessible to the more public. Okay, that's how you're contributing to the society. And empowering women. So they have helped around 600,000 self-help groups. So there are a lot of self-help groups in the state. So they are helping them. So, and they are also saying 21 million basic saving bank deposits are created by the private sector bank. Again, I'm not here to say or propagate about this bank. All I'm trying to show is how they're reporting. And also from the foundation wise, they have trained so many employees, this much of placement, and from the skill training part, these many training courses are been done. So total 160,000 are being benefited through their training part. So this is on the social part. Now, they also talked about, see that response to the pandemic. So how 1 billion rupees have been donated, 550 districts covered across all states. So a lot of things what they have done from the social part. Now from the environment part, see that they have done 11.9 megawatt power total renewable energy capacity they have been using, on-site renewable energy generated, and paper saving efforts. 9 million paper, means A4 size sheets saved due to digital initiatives. If you see there, previously banks used to send all the bank statements, periodical statements by post. Nowadays, they are giving an option. You can opt online statement. So this is what they're covering as part of their environmental responsibility. So we taken this digital initiative. So all my customers are getting digital way of report. So we saved 9 million units of paper. So saving 1100 trees, approximately 4.5 million liters. Okay. So that is on the environment part, how they are supporting. From the governance part, So they have a board of directors of 13. Some of them are independent, non-government or executive directors. So how they're taking care of their responsibilities, all those stuff. So I thought I understand. I hope that you got the point what I'm trying to convey here. So using this environmental, social and governance report, you are trying to communicate with your stakeholders what is the mission, what is the vision and objectives and strategy. See, I'm not here just to make profits. I'm also want to contribute to the society in the capacity I can. And these are all the ways I'm contributing it. How I'm contributing to the environment, how I'm contributing to the society, how the internal operations are managed with a strict governance. So by seeing this information, you gain more confidence on the organization, and you will also appreciate the social responsibility which they are taking it. Okay, so this is what these are all the way, means these are all the points or objectives why they publish it. So trade-off between the short-term and long-term strategies. So how they're managing, what is their long-term strategy? You see all those big numbers, right? It's not achieved overnight. They would have planned, they would have executed, and finally now they are publishing it over a period of year. And how they have, so financial, social, and environmental performance. I'm not here just to make profits. I am also here to contribute something to the society, how I have done. So these are all the points that they would like to communicate via ESG reporting. So finally, we are trying to understand why it is so important. So it says the cohesive explanation of the business means cohesiveness means together existence, means I am also part of the society. That's what I want to convey. I'm not here only to make profits. I'm also part of the society, and also to assess the organizational performance and provide high quality reports to the stakeholders, promote better internal decision making, and finally to cater the demands of various groups in providing ESG reporting. So in simple terms, why we do all those things? To communicate to the people or stakeholders who are interested in my business or organization that, hey, I'm here, I'm doing good things, and I'm contributing to the society, and I'm following all the fair and transparent process so that you can trust me. When you find a trust on the business, of course, customers keep coming to it. Why a particular means example in banking industry, you have a lot of banks. Why in private sector, ICICI is, I think, I don't know the exact number in ranking, but I believe that they are in top 3 or a top 1, maybe, I don't know. So why they are in that position? Because they keep informing about what they're doing, how they're doing. Not only if they perform, they have to communicate in some way or the other to the stakeholders so that they'll understand it. So this is what about business reporting, especially on the ESG reporting, environmental, social, and governance reporting. Hiral, cohesiveness, as I said, is a togetherness. Cohesiveness means staying together. That's what cohesiveness means. Now, finally, we are getting into the XBRL. XBRL means extensive, the abbreviation of XBRL, extensible business reporting language. Okay. So this is what extensible business reporting language. Okay. What does that mean? Okay, before we get into the theory part, let me explain you in a simple terms. You know, example, let's take India. Okay, let's take US. There is a company here, XYZ. There is a company here, PQR. Okay, so we are preparing our financial statements using Indian accounting standards. Okay, whereas US company is preparing their financial statements using US GAAP. So now, if you want to compare these two organizations, who is performing well, can you just simply compare the numbers from these two statements and say, let's assume these statements are, the Indian company has reported a profit of 100K US dollars. Let's use a common currency just to compare it. This company says it's a 250 US dollars, 250K US dollars is the profit they make. So just by seeing the number, can I say this PQR organization has performed well? Students, can you please respond? Yeah, Pooja, as you said, yes, that is also a lot of corporate social responsibilities, bus shelters, and also a lot of corporates are supporting nearby government schools. So a lot of things they do. So please respond. In my given example, just by comparing both financial statements and especially on the numbers, can I say the PQR company is doing well? Definitely no, because it's not an arithmetical number which plays a role. When you are preparing your financial statements, you would have followed certain rules. In India, we follow Indian accounting standards, whereas in US, they might have followed US gaps, like their local accounting principles. So as per the principles, there is a chance that the numbers might go here and there, right? So to avoid this, for having a global comparison, what is what we are currently following? Like a lot of countries, we got IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. So that means, in simple terms, don't use your individual standards to prepare. Okay, that is to manage your local compliance, you use it. I don't mind. But you also prepare your financial statements using a common standard. Using a common standard. So if US company also follows the IFRS standards and also Indian company follows, let's say as per the IFRS, maybe the financial statements may go change, right? Based on the principles. Now it comes to 300 US dollars, whereas this is also 300 US dollars, or it may become 200 US dollars. Okay, just as being an Indian, I want to say that my company is doing well. So after this conversion, after preparing the financial statements using IFRS, the numbers might go here and there. But I'm confident now both have been prepared using the same principles, so I can compare the numbers now and can say this company is doing better than the other company. Okay, you understand this concept? Now, just extend the same example to the reporting per se. When I am preparing these financial statements, now I'm not more interested in numbers. I'm talking about this report itself. If I'm preparing a report under balance sheet, let's say in my balance sheet, liabilities, assets, here I am writing sundry debtors. Sundry debtors is the term I used. I said my sundry debtors are, let's say, some $100,000. Okay, but this company, US company, this is Indian company, US company balance sheet, the same liability and assets. Here they are writing customers. Let's say example customers. They are talking about 150K US dollars. So actually both are trying to communicate the same. Sundry debtors or customers means both same, but they use a different wordings. But if somebody wants to read these two statements, it's very difficult for them what they're trying to communicate. A person from US can understand what is a customer, but from India, he might be expecting sundry debtors as the word in the report, right? So to avoid this confusion, again, they brought a common standard similar to IFRS in the accounting standards discrepancy. They brought a common standard for reporting. That's called XBRL. Extensive Business Reporting Language. Hey, in your country or in your company, you use whichever the term, you call it as sundry debtors, customers, or something else, I don't mind. But if you are preparing report as per XBRL standards, always call it as a customer or a debtor, something like that. They will suggest you to use this terminology. All what you need to do, you have to translate your financial statements or reporting in the terms agreed in the XBRL standard. So you have to say, even Indian company, if they're preparing their reporting in XBRL format, they have to map it to debtors. Even US company also have to map it to debtors. Now, I can simply say for this company, this is the debtor balance. For US company, this is the debtor balance, because they both are following the common standard. So this is what an XBRL means. So now read through the definition part. It's a global standard for exchanging business information. So use the common standard so that we can easily exchange the information. If everybody follows in their own way, it's very difficult to exchange the information. And the language is XML based and XML syntax. So it's just the technical input they're saying. They use an XML language to prepare this XBRL reporting. So it is who is managing it? This is developed and published by XBRL International. There is a company which manages all these things. Everybody whichever company wants to file their reporting in XBRL, they have to follow the standards prescribed by the XBRL International. So what it helps, it makes the reporting more accurate and efficient. As we have seen in the example, if everybody follows the same standard, it gives more accuracy and efficient. So again, there are different points they're talking about. Let us see here. Now the next topic in XBRL is XBRL tagging. Tagging is nothing but the example I have seen. Let's say company XYZ, let's say they are converting their financial statements. I believe in India, ROC, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, requires the annual ROC filings in XBRL format. So as a prospect chartered accountant, it is better you to understand what is this XBRL, how this XBRL reporting works. Okay, there are a lot of softwares and YouTube tutorials you can go through to get a grip of what is this XBRL. So tagging means the same exercise what we have done. In my financial statements, I call it as a sundry debtor. But as per XBRL standard, it should be called as debtor. So this is what tagging, mapping to the respective terms, is the process by which any financial data is tagged with the most appropriate element in the accounting taxonomy. So the XBRL people will have these kind of terms, all the terms they will have as a list. So you need to find which is the suitable term for me to call it. So they will have guidelines. It's not that, again, you might have a question. Okay, again, if you give a discretion, people might think a different way, but they will have a very clear-cut definitions. When you can call a sundry debtor as a debtor or a customer as a debtor, they will have a guidelines. All you need to do is follow those guidelines, see the dictionary, find the appropriate term, and update the value there. Okay. Since they use same taxonomy, numbers associated, yeah, this is what I'm saying. If ever, now in the given example, if XYZ also reported as debtor, PQR also reported as a debtor, now as an outsider, I can compare these two reports and say that, okay, both are talking about debtors. So this is what the second point means, comparable and interchangeable. I can exchange it. So on top of it, it also has the capacity of tagging of transactions. Let's say I have given the debtors as 100K, okay? But I want to make sure whether this 100K is genuine or not. I want to see the individual transactions. So even these individual transactions can also be uploaded in the XBRL portal. Means, well, when you are generating the reports, you can do that part as well. That is what tagging of transactions. I have given a link here. Maybe after the session, you go through this and understand further how it works. But not to worry. All you need to do is understand how things works. So this is what XBRL tagging. Tagging means finding an appropriate element as per XBRL taxonomy. Taxonomy is nothing but a dictionary of accounting terms. So who basically uses XBRL? It could be regulators, like as we said in the Indian context, regulators, companies, government, even data providers. Example, somebody who is doing company's financial statement analysis, like stockbrokers and all those stuff, they can also use the XBRL reports. Analysts and investors, even for that matter, accountants. So these are all the various people who uses the XBRL reporting. Features of XBRL. I will show you a live, don't worry. Okay, I'll come back to these questions. Features of XBRL. So what are all the features of XBRL? It have a clear definition. As I said, if somebody should call it as a debtor, they will have a clear definition. Under what circumstances you can call it as a debtor, under what circumstances you can call it as a bad debt. So they will have a clear definition so that there won't be any confusion when you're preparing the report. Then testable business rules. So this XBRL tool also have the capability. Example, if the report, when you're preparing the report, if it is in draft status, don't send it. So those kind of means all they're doing was they're just explaining some features of that XBRL software. Okay. Multilingual support means multiple languages you can prepare, and strong software means there are a lot of service providers which help you to prepare the report in XBRL format. You need not struggle. Very easy to prepare these XBRL reports. Just maybe find some YouTube video how an XBRL report can be prepared so that you can easily understand how it works. Let me quickly show you this XBRL part. Then we can go to the last topic. XBRL reporting. See, this is the organization who manages that XBRL. We talked about the XBRL International, right? So this is the company who actually manages the XBRL reporting. So when you find time, go through this, how it been done. See, we talked about the users, right? Who actually uses it: regulators, companies, governments, data providers. So all those things have been mentioned here. You can also see a couple of examples on YouTube how an XBRL report have been created. But understand, as long as you remember this example, you can easily understand how IFRS has been introduced to have the same accounting principles when you're preparing the financial statements. For reporting also, you can use a common standard so that you can easily exchange the data and make sense out of it. Okay. If everybody follows their own rules, it's very difficult to follow it up. So that's what XBRL means. Now, the last topic for the day: applicable regulatory and compliance requirements. It's a very simple, small topic. What they're saying, we understand that companies have a reporting requirements. To meet that reporting requirements, again, before getting into it, we also understand there are certain external reporting, internal reporting. Internal reporting, we discussed about management information system, starting up the today's session, MIS. Then who actually uses it, what are all the benefits and all those stuff. And when we gone into the little bit technicality side, a lot of data analytical tool, business intelligence tool, types of data analytics, how they have been used to generate those reports also we understand. And we also talked about environmental and social governance reporting. Finally, they are talking about the regulatory compliance. So when it comes to regulatory compliance, there could be two types of compliances. One is general compliance. Everybody, it applies to everybody. Example, every company has to file their certain reports to the respective departments, maybe the labor department or something like that. But there are certain reporting requirements which are applicable specific to certain companies only. Example, an insurance broker, they have to publish their reports as some statutory reports to IRDA, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority. Similarly, a banking company has to publish certain reports to RBI. So a manufacturing company need not send the same reports to RBI or IRDA, right? That's what they're talking about, general or specific. Okay. Now, so how to prepare these reports? If you have this specific reporting requirements, how you can generate them? So there are two ways. Okay, two approaches. One, whatever the same software, existing ERP you are using, use the same software and prepare the similar report and share it. Example, you are using Oracle or SAP. Let's say you are in banking industry, you need to create a report for RBI on a periodic basis. So one option, you can use the same ERP and create that report, means generate that report from your ERP and submit to RBI. That is one option. The second option was, don't use your existing ERP, use a separate tool to generate that report and submit to RBI. So these are the two options. You can ask why it is needed and what is the advantages or disadvantages. Example, see, this is what they're saying. Example, yeah, I took the banking industry, right? But in this, I have given an example of GST return. Let's say you need to file a GST return on a periodical basis. So what is the base to prepare that report? You need to have your purchase and sales data. Where it is currently available? On the accounting systems, means in your ERP. Ultimately, the data is there in the ERP, but how you cater that reporting requirements is what you need to figure out. Now, this is the important topic to discuss. What is the advantage or a disadvantage if you go with both accounting and tax compliance means both that reporting requirements as well as your accounting are using the same software? Let's assume here I'm, for easier understanding sake, I am writing you are using ERP to generate the tax compliance report as well. Whereas here you are using ERP plus a separate software to prepare that GST return. I think in India, there are a lot of companies have the products which can help you to create the GST return in the way the tax department requires, right? So what is the advantage or disadvantages? So from the ease of software operation point of view, here it is bit less because everything connected with other, and making changes at one place may affect other places also. Means, since you are generating the data from the same report, if you, from the ease of operation point of view, it is a bit risky, because as the data is very tightly connected, if somebody done some mistake, even the tax reporting also goes for a toss. Whereas from the tax compliance software, it is less complicated, because you are separated both the systems. So you are taking the data from here, putting the data here, generating the report and giving. From the features and facilities perspective, since it's a consolidated system, the specific features of generating the GST report, let's say you need it in a specific format, and this is how you have to prepare, that very individual or finer features sometimes might not be available in one single software. So in such cases, if you have a specialized software just for reporting purpose, of course, when you are buying a product specifically for a particular purpose, it would definitely have more features than the general software. From the time and efforts perspective, this is better, because as the data is stored in the same place, it's very easy to generate a report. Okay. See, if you see here under one feature, example, from the ease of operation point of view, this option is good. Whereas from the time and efforts required point of view, this option is good. So it's a trade-off. So basically nobody says this is good or this is bad. You need to find a balance when you are deciding which software to go with it. From the accuracy point of view, this is good, because you are using the same software, the data is also there, the report is also coming from there. Whereas in the other case, these are two different softwares. When you are transferring the data from one software to another, there is a risk of data loss or data accuracy issues. So that's why from the accuracy point of view, this is better. From the cost perspective, as you have more features are needed in ERP, sometimes you might require to customizations, means which is not there as a standard feature, you're adding to it. So that requires more cost. When you are buying as a separate tool, maybe that comes much cheaper than the than having this customization. So that's what they are saying. So again, it's there is no conclusion that you have to go with a single software or a separate software. You need to identify these factors and get a trade-off, the cost benefit analysis. By going with a separate individual software, am I getting the required benefits or not? Are they better than using the same software, or are there any limitations? Example, I see in one of my previous company, we are using Oracle applications. They require the VAT return to be prepared in a specific format. In that format, we can't generate from our ERP applications. The ERP applications are not capable to prepare in the way the government wants. In such cases, what you need to do, take the data from ERP, use a separate software, create the report and upload it in the portal. That's what they have done. So they have gone with this they have gone with this option. But to gain market, example, in that region, Tally come up and said, hey, you need not use a separate software. I have the inbuilt feature. Okay, I have that reporting capability as per the government wants. You use my Tally ERP, create the report and upload, so that you can save the cost on spending this. But it's not that only cost, right? If you see here, there are certain features which are better if you go with a separate software. Okay, so you need to see and identify which is a good option for the organization. So I hope you clear about the regulatory compliance, okay, and the two approaches with an examples. Okay, less or more means, okay, so if you see from the accuracy point of view, this is more accurate, this is less accurate. Cost point of view, this might be more, means if you go with a single ERP, cost might be more, whereas if you go with a separate software, cost come out less. Okay, that's how you have to read this. I just put it in a tabular format for easier explanation, but in your textbook, you go a typical paragraph mode. Milton, I'm not aware about free GST softwares. Sorry for that. Okay, Hiral, there is a question. What is a metadata? Metadata means data about data. Let's say you have prepared a book. It contains a lot of things, how to pass a CA. Okay, you have to prepare like this, you have to practice like this, you have written all the inputs. So if somebody is asked, what is this book? You said, these are all the tips for passing CA. Okay, this is a statement you passed. This is called metadata. If somebody wants to know what is inside it, this is data. Okay, I hope you understand the difference between metadata and data. Okay, metadata means data about data. So far we have completed all the topics as per the syllabus. So we can, if you have any doubts, let's take it. Then we can forward with the by seeing the previous past examination questions. I think today I tried my level best to be on time, but with due permission, I would like to take this extra time to discuss about the examination questions, and also if you have any doubts from this chapter. So from the syllabus per se, we have completed all the topics from chapter number 2, financial and accounting systems. Any doubts before we refer a couple of past examination questions? Okay. See, metadata is nothing but data about data. Okay, means okay, let me take any other example. Okay, let's take, you are preparing a document, okay, which gives all the class students list of class students. This is the title I have given for this document. I'm writing all this document, all the names, Hiral, Mukta, okay, Almas, okay, all the student names I'm writing, and I'm also writing from where they are, something like that, some information about you, which year you have registered for this course, blah, 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 blah. So this is called data. Okay. Now for this, I have given a title, list of class students. This is called metadata. It is a data about data in simple terms. So I don't want to confuse you. The literal definition of metadata, data about data. So in simple terms, take this, it's a metadata. This is a data where I have the details of it. But what is this data? It's a list of class students. So this list of class students is a metadata. Okay. Now, let's go with the question and answers. Let us see the past examinations. Let's see the recent examination questions, what we got from this chapter, how we are getting it, how you need to write all the stuff. Wow, great. See the first question, students. Business managers use MIS reports in the decision-making process. MIS reports need to ensure that it meets certain criteria to make information most useful. Explain any 3 such criteria. You remember? Okay, you are seeing the answers there. Can you tell me, for an MIS report to be effective, what are all the points it should contain? Means how it should be prepared, what are all the qualities or characteristics it should have? Ayush, XBRL is different from IFRS. Using IFRS, you prepare the financial statements. XBRL, not only for financial statements, any reporting, you use that common reporting language. It's a reporting language, simple. Okay. Whereas IFRS is in a standards, some principles based on which you prepare your financial statements. Students, please respond to this question. For an MIS report, what are all the characteristics it should have? This is today's discussion only. We discussed it in today's class. Yeah. It should be relevant, timely, accurate, structured. So it's a 3 marks question. See, today's means the topic came from today's session only. Good. Any doubts here? Correct. So Jayan, Hitesh, congratulations. You got 3 marks now. Now let's move on to the next question. See, did you see any difficulty? But what you need to find out, it's not something that they directly ask, can you give me the characteristics of an MS, see the types of information, the same titles they use. So what they have done, they have given they articulated the question with a practical. Okay, so they added some story here. Business managers use MIS reports in decision making process, so it needs to ensure that it maintains some story. They built the story and then asked the question. So if you read this paper as a theory paper, then definitely you will find it difficult to answer it. So as I said, you always think, you put you put in that shoes and understand, okay, if I want to see a report, how it should be. So it should have the accurate information, timely the information should come, and structured, and what is the other attribute? Sorry, I forgot. Yeah, relevant. It should be relevant for me as well. As I said in our example, to a HR department guy, I should not send the production data, what he will do with the production data, right? Now, let's see. The second question is not from this chapter. DBMS, bring your own. This is chapter number 3. This is chapter number 4. This is also not this. Different kind of business risk. This is chapter number 1. Let us see any other question. Yes. Controlling module is one of the business process modules of enterprise resources planning system. So they have given a brief about what is a controlling module. And now they are asking about give 6 key features of controlling module of ERP system. It's a kind of direct question. Again, if you see here the pattern, they're not directly asking, briefly explain the 6 characteristics of controlling module. They are adding a story and then asking. So you should think more practical. So this is nothing but our day 1 class, day 2 class from controlling module, where you have this, where you have this cost element accounting, cost center accounting, activity based, internal order, product cost, profitability analysis. So these are all the main key features of controlling module. So the questions are direct. All you need to do is practice as much as possible. Of course, you would have received the suggestion from multiple people. For these kind of papers, how many times you write on paper, then only that will get remembered in your brain. So if you keep reading it, see, the first and foremost thing was understand conceptually, don't mug it. So that's the reason I never give any tips to students to memorize and all those stuff, because I go conceptual based. If you understand the concept, you'll definitely able to make it out. But the only gap you need to fill in, practice, write exams as much as possible so that you will definitely remember automatically. You don't need to mug it. You don't need any formulas. It's not the mathematics to remember the formulas. Okay. So this, I think, I don't think any other question came from this. But if you see here, the total marks we got from this chapter, 6 marks from here, 3 marks from the top. So 9 marks out of 50 marks, 9 marks. So approximately 20% weightage here. I think in your, when we started the chapter number 1, Shruti ma'am has given the average weightage for chapter, right? So any chapter can weight from 15% to 25%. So out of 50 marks, 15% means 7 to 8 marks till it can come to 13 marks. So in that range. So in last paper, you got 9 marks from this chapter. 20% of the marks can be gained. Let's take another examination paper and see what is the questions. Yeah, see again, wonderful. The first question itself is again from our chapter. Business intelligence is a technology-driven process. It's a definition just we read out. What are all the benefits of using business intelligence in decision? So these are all the benefits we discussed, right? So it helps the business in making the decisions, to be in competitive, more increase the operational efficiencies, driving new revenues. So these, again, this list can be self-explanatory. Again, it's a straightforward question from here. Amritpal, I will explain about activity-based costing and internal order. Actually, activity-based costing, see, there are different methodologies in costing. You use standard costing, weighted average costing, and when the inventory valuation comes, FIFO, LIFO, right? Similarly, you cost a particular thing using the activities. Means, let's say, to explain you, I know that it's a costing concept, but let me take the liberty to explain this activity-based costing. They call in the short form ABC. See, in companies, how to decide, let's say it's a manufacturing organization, how you can say this, to manufacture this product, this is the cost I incurred. How usually you say, you add the cost of raw material, you add the cost of labor, you add all the indirect expenses, okay, overheads, and then you arrive at the cost, right? So instead of going with this methodology, if you want to follow the activity based costing, so I don't go by this, I go by activities, means how much of labor hours it has been consumed, so how much of process time it have been taken. So by activity wise, means to perform this activity, how much cost has happened, and accordingly I will derive the total cost. So it's just that the dimension has been changed. Instead of going with this method of arriving the cost, you go by activity cost. So to produce this product, I have done these many activities. What is the cost of each activity? And then finally, I'll come up with the product cost. Whereas internal orders, as I showed, this is pure the SAP application terminology. Okay, internal orders. Basically, this internal order helps you to accumulate the cost over a period of time. Let's say companies are arranging a marketing event. Okay, one event it is arranging. So to arrange that event, you might have incurring a lot of cost. Okay, you might be paying to the print media, television, and also you are arranging some show on a mall. Okay, so the mall rent, the persons who are standing there, for them the cost of that salary. So all those costs, whenever you are incurring, you create an internal order with the name marketing event 1, and whenever you are spending something on this event, you keep adding to this event, okay, which is an internal order in the system. So at the end you will come to know what is the cost happened for this event. So this is the cost of internal order. Once the event is completed, you will settle it. So finally, it will go and hit the GL. What is the actual expenditure? But so far, all this cost is accumulated over a period of time. When the event completes, you can do the settlement process. Then the cost is directly posted to the GL. So it's a bit of product terminology. So that's why I want to keep it light. Okay. Let us see any other question from this. PQR limited receive drawbacks, digital payments, not from this chapter, inherent limitations of internal control. It's chapter number 3. Yeah, data mining. Okay, this is different. Yeah, see here, 4 marks question from this chapter. ERP implementation is a huge risk and requires a lot of time, money, and patience. So the organizations implementing ERP system should keep abreast of latest technological developments and implementation, which is required to serve. So in simple terms, what are all the risks corresponding to technological risks? So you remember on day 1, when we were discussing about, there are different types of risks. See, ERP, especially relating to ERP implementation. When you want to implement the ERP, there are different dimensions. Some risks from people, some risks from process, some risk from technology, some risk from vendor support and all those stuff, right? So now they are asking about technology. Technology wise, what are all the risks? It can become obsolete, or it can become the vendor might not provide the updates or upgraded version. So your product might be outdated. So these are all the various, yeah, where is that? Yeah, one is functionality. If you have too much of functionality, you should be carefully evaluate what features you want. Just because the product is offering, don't implement everything. It will burden, or sometimes it will damage the system. Then technological obsolescence. So as the time grows, your product should also have updates and latest versions as per the latest requirements. Somewhere you developed the product in some 20 years back, you can't expect the business to use the same product. As the time changes, you should upgrade your product as well. So enhancement and upgrade, you need to keep providing the updates for any kind of issues or bugs. And finally, portfolio management means these process focus on the selection of, yeah, that means you keep doing it, maybe some newer products, keep adding it so that you can give more offerings from the same product. So these are all the risks you need to be keep in mind when you are selecting a particular ERP from a vendor. So again, here you got very direct questions. One is the technological risks. The other one is the business intelligence benefits. Students, you can definitely view all these things from the institute website itself. I hope now it is much visible. So if you have seen from last 2 papers how the questions are coming, so these are very direct questions. So as I said, understand the concept, practice as much as possible, try to write as many mock tests as possible so that you'll be able to remember the concepts more better. Okay, so anything else from MCQs? I have given for all the 3 days MCQs, I think minimum 10 MCQs per day. So if you have any doubts, I'll be happy to explain. So we almost passed by 20 minutes. So just let me know if you have anything else, or else we can wind up the session for today. I'll be taking the chapter number 4, e-commerce, m-commerce, and emerging technologies. I think it's lined up from the Monday. So please try to read through these chapters. If you have any doubts, you feel free to drop to easinter@ici.in. And also don't forget to share your feedback on my sessions. So for a last, let me see the questions. If there are no, we can wind up it. There is a question from Ms. Gehani Hariram. Upgrades and patches. Okay, he's giving answers. Great. So whatever you have given is right, correct. Students, anything else, or else we're good to wind up the session. I hope you enjoyed all the 3-day session, but I really enjoyed because every time it gives a new experience for me. And I'm happy to see that a lot of student participation that is more required. And again, the last word which I would like to emphasize, don't see this paper as a just theory paper. As you're seeing me, the same chapter on which I'm working on from last 12 plus years. So you can definitely make out a career from IT papers as well. So, and also in whichever role you get in, somewhere or the other, you have to work on these technologies. So last. So thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Chapter 3 Puja will be taken by Atul sir. It's just that after I complete chapter 4, it will be taken. So don't worry, all the 5 chapters will be covered as part of this live coaching classes. So thank you so much, students. Enjoy the classes, learn it, and have a nice day ahead. Thank you so much.